The digital audio revolution of the 1990s saw many innovations, not least this, the pod. Now this was Line 6, which was a company formed in 1996, and a couple of years in they made this. A fantastic device. You could just dial in any amplifier you want, a few effects, nice tactile controls, spring reverbs, in a tiny little box. So suddenly you could go to a gig where there was just a PA system and some monitoring, great for little gigs, brilliant for recording, an all-round good egg. Now, a few years later, they came up with this. This is the Variax. Now, this is a guitar that is designed to simulate, and it actually does simulate, no fewer than 28 instruments from one neck. Let's have a look. What you're listening to there is a 1960 Telecaster. Well, that's what the manual says. But there's quite a lot of humility displayed at line 6 because they say it's based on a 1960 Telecaster. All of the processing is done inside the guitar. So the lead is actually a stereo jack. So you've got your audio output and your ground, and also power from a foot switch, which I'll talk about in a minute. We've got volume and tone controls, which operate, and they're designed to simulate the actual controls on the guitar in addition to the actual sounds. Now, that's one model of a Telecaster. I've got three positions, the main positions to represent the neck pickup, the bridge pickup, and then the combination in the middle, because the Telecaster is just two pickups. But there are two other positions of this which actually simulate different guitars. So this is apparently a Telecaster where the tone control has been bypassed. And then you've got the other position, which is the two pickups wired in series, which gave much more output. A real fatter sound there. And that's kind of how this works. With the setting here, the third control, this determines the sort of type of guitar that you're simulating, and then the pickup switch will give you different versions of that guitar and different pickup positions. Next one round is called Spank. Now this is the Strat, and the pickup switch works in exactly the way that you'd expect. And away you go. The tone control does operate on the bridge pickup position, as indeed it does in some sort of more upmarket Strat models. Next round we've got, it's called Lester. Now this is Les Paul basically in varying forms. They've based most of it on a 1958 Les Paul, and as you can hear, the output level is rather higher. We've got the middle position here, which is the two pickups together, and then the bridge pickup. And then we've got a couple of other things, various other Gibson models. It's all just very lovely. You just turn the control and you're going to get something good. The next one round is called Special. This is like the sort of the junior Gibsons, if you will. Those were the P90s, for example. You can find all the models that it simulates online pretty easily, and the manual details them a bit more. Next one, we've got Rockabilly. So this is all your glittery Gretsch guitars. Chime. Now this is where you find your Rickenbackers. and some 12 strings. Oh, yeah. So that's like a bridge position and then a neck position. Now, because there are only 5 available positions, some of the combinations have been left out, so you can't hear, for example, the neck and the bridge combined for a 12 string. But I mean, how much more do you want? There's so much going on here. Next round, we've got semi. Now, this is basically a Gibson 335. Middle position, and then your bridge. And then we've got things like the ES330, which is actually an Epiphone, Epiphone model. Then we've got Jazz Box. This is basically a Gibson ES175. Properly sort of creamy sounding thing. You've got your middle pickup, or middle combination of the neck and bridge, and then the bridge itself. And then we've got like a Gibson 400, a real early guitar where Gibson fitted the pickups to an otherwise fairly quiet guitar to make it proper jazzy. This one's really woody. And then we've got we've got the bridge pickup version of that as well. Now, how this works is we've got 6 piezo pickups. We've got individual pickups in each saddle piece, which means that when you play a string or any particular string, the other pickups are going to be picking up what's happening on the other strings. They're little sort of resonances, and all of those have been modelled as well. This is really clever. And this is technology that was around 20 years ago. There's a lot of thinkers at line 6. Much was accomplished with this guitar. Then we go to acoustic. Now, this is where I come back to the foot switch. The foot switch that is supplied with the guitar comes with a power supply, which supplies all the power for the onboard electronics. You can run this on batteries, but it will eat them in seconds. It's basically just sort of get out of jail free. Actually, it'll do about 10 hours on a set of 6 AA batteries. So the pickup, the foot switch also decides between 2 outputs. You plug your guitar into the input, and then out comes a jack which goes to your guitar amp, and there's also an XLR out, because we've got acoustic simulations here. You wouldn't want those to go through your guitar amp, you want those to go through your PA and your monitor. So if I just hit the switch, we're now on an XLR output, and I'm going to switch to the acoustic setting. How good is that, honestly? We've got things based on sort of Martin guitars and another acoustic. Really responsive. And of course, it thinks that you're hitting the sort of a hollow table. Amazing. The tone control here does something rather different. Of course, there's no tone control on an acoustic guitar, but rather it varies the position of the mic with respect to the guitar. So much happening. Now, that's 3 of the pickup positions. You've got 2 12-string acoustics as well on positions 4 and 2. Oh. I mean, how much more do you want? Then we've got some Rezo. That's the next one. So you've got resonators, you've got things like dobros and resonator guitars, the tricone guitars. I'm still on the acoustic on the XLR output here, but there's nothing to stop you putting any of these through a guitar amp. You could put an acoustic guitar through a guitar amp. Why not? The whole purpose of guitars and electric guitars was to see what was possible and not to just get stuck in our ways. We don't want that. There's a little Dan Electro electric guitar as well, nestling inside those acoustic guitar settings. It's just incredible sounds. They're so good and immensely usable. There's nothing flashy about this, or it's just very unassuming, and then suddenly you go, sorry, what was that? When you listen to these things. Now we've got an early 20s banjo and a sitar. The tone control works a little differently here because actually you can get rid of the, well, you can reduce the sound of the sympathetic strings if you want a cleaner sound. But I like it with a little bit of resonance. And the tone control does some subtle differences to the banjo as well. And there we are. There's all of the sounds, all the 28 sounds, 28 string instruments that this thing can synthesize. We've also got some custom patches where you can actually, well, this one, Custom 2, enables, wait for it, open tunings. Still with the strings tuned. You don't have to tune anything. You can actually program these up as well. You can you can download a computer program which will talk to this, but only via certain pod models. So you just got to make sure that you've got that. So we've got something like this. Your open G, open C, open D. These are various of the other guitar simulators as well. Open A and a drop D. You can store your own patches. It's a little bit of a sort of a mission. You find the various sort of the sound that you want, and you can have 5 of your favourite sounds, for example, on one particular pickup if you're just using 5 of them sort of more regularly, for example. So it's all very user friendly. It's also a floating tremolo here. So it's got everything. This is the model 600. They made a sort of budget model for tiny, for a short time, the 300, and I think there's a 400 and there's a 700, which is just a bit more flashy still. These are the older incarnations. The new Variaxes have magnetic pickups in addition to their onboard electronics, so you've got a conventional guitar as well. But I hope you'll agree that there's masses going on here, and it's a huge boon in the studio. If you're thinking, oh, I need to record, oh, I haven't got a... Just dial in your sound, press record, and you're away. Of course, live, it's fine. It plays really nicely. The frets are dressed well. The thing's in tune with itself. The intonation's all good. It's just rather nice.